Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Reclaim Your Voice podcast. My name is O'Neill Gerald Donald, and I am the host of this wonderful, wonderful conversation where we are getting to talk about all things singing and just how we can take your singing from unsure to unforgettable. I know that this is the seventh episode. We're out here in these streets reclaiming people's voices and such. This is really cool. I've loved the conversations that we've been able to have, and there has been just an evolving discourse that I know has been happening in my heart, and I know it's been happening for those of you that have been tuning in every week. If you are tuning in, let me know. Why don't you comment on the YouTube videos, leave a review on Spotify or wherever you're watching this, so I know that you're watching, because I know that we're developing a really important conversation. Now, this week is a really fun week because I watched a wonderful movie, a wonderful classic movie with my wife on Friday, and I watched the thing and I was like, oh my gosh, there are so many preaching points on this. Believe it or not, it was my first time watching The Little Mermaid. I watched The Lion King. I've watched all sorts of Disney movies. I've seen what are the other Disney movies? Toy Story. Wait, that's Pixar. Like Pocahontas is my favorite Disney movie, but I've never seen The Little Mermaid ever. And The Little Mermaid is my wife's favorite movie, so we decided to watch it on Friday. And honestly, the amount of reclaim your voice points to talk about, I just was like, oh my gosh, we're talking about The Little Mermaid on this next podcast. Now here's the thing. I watched it once, so I'm still getting better at recounting the information. But essentially, the entire movie really is about the importance of Ariel's voice, if you actually really just zoom in on it. Now, I know we're all like, Ariel wants to go on the surface and she wants to, be up there where the people are, etc. and so forth, and just and wanting to be, and spoiler alert, she ends up getting to walk where the humans are and dwell in the world that she's always wanted to live in. But the key for her to be able to actually get there was her voice. Ha! And I'm gonna sound like a preacher on tonight. And that's okay. So I have 5 points that I was drawing, just some lessons from The Little Mermaid that I think would help you in understanding the relevance and the significance of her voice. Because honestly, Ariel, as much as she's the heroine and just like the one that we're zooming in on for the movie, there were a lot of unfortunate things that happened to Ariel because she didn't understand the weight and the impact and the significance of her voice. And if she understood that, then she would have maybe she would have met Prince Eric a different way, or been able to join his world in another way. But I wanted to really zoom in on the importance of Ariel's voice and what I took from it. So I have 5 points. Would you indulge me as we talk a little bit about The Little Mermaid, and about the points that I got. So point number 1: if you take your voice for granted, you will lose sight of its value and give it to anyone who is willing to take it. Like, I want you to sit on that for a little bit. Ariel was someone who, in the beginning of the movie, and I'm probably gonna end up crossing in between points all over the place, but that's okay. Ariel is someone that from the beginning of the movie didn't realize the significance of her voice. She would use it, but when it came time to even be in Sebastian's little play or whatever, she was just like, I'm just aspiring to be in such and such a place, And a lot of us are the same way, where we have people that are telling us that our voice is amazing, people that are telling us that our voice has potential and has impact, but a lot of us are asleep in the when it comes to understanding the what our voice can actually do, and understanding that our voice is not just some random sound that you hear in the white noise that is Earth and just everything that happens in the world, but it is it's a significant sound. It's a significant vibration in the ear that produces a level of impact to the people that are around us. But Ariel, because she just sings just all the time, she wasn't able to really understand understand the potential that she had to impact the people that were around her. And thus, when it came time for her to either choose whether to keep her voice or give it away, she willingly gave it away. Because when especially with a little bit of the push from Ursula, she was able she was fooled into thinking that the one thing that was needed for her was everything but her voice in order to be of impact to the one that she loved. And in thus, she was willing to give away the one part of her that actually had impact. And thankfully, we've now already had the conversation of when your voice doesn't belong to you. It was a 3-part series that we did earlier in the Reclaim Your Voice podcast. So if you have not already listened to those episodes, I want you to go and listen to those episodes. But because we now understand what it's like for your voice not to belong to you, when we lose sight of the value of our voices, when we lose sight of the fact that our singing voice actually has weight, it has the potential to impact somebody, we're going to give it to any type of situation without guarding its purpose. And when you don't guard your voice's purpose, you end up using it for any and every opportunity that you are given, and you lose a sense of intentionality when it comes to using your voice. You're singing for every single concert, or you're singing for every single choral opportunity. You're lending your voice to so many different things, but you forget that your voice has the ability to carry your message, the message that you have as a singer, and not just the message that and not just the message that somebody else has, another songwriter or another composer or somebody else that's putting on a concert, but you have something to say. And if we take for granted just that inner dialogue that we need to create in understanding what our message is, and choosing songs, writing songs, and singing songs that are reflective of that message, we're just going to give our voice away, just like Ariel did to Ursula, right? It's really unfortunate when you give your voice away, because getting it back is it's almost like, when you give your voice away, you end up taking so many steps back, and you wonder why you're so far behind in your development and your artist development. And it's because you're not actually using your voice for your own purposes, but for the purposes of somebody else, right? So that's my first point. If you take your voice for granted, you will lose sight of its value and give it away to anyone else who's willing to take it. And now, point number 2 from The Little Mermaid. Your voice is often more important than you give it credit for. Or more important than what you give it credit for. What I mean by that is that even in the spirit of taking your voice for granted, in not understanding how important your specific voice is, your voice, your singing, how important your singing is, you can actually lose sight of how important it actually is, and actually how important it is to other people that are looking to be impacted by you. Like when I look at Prince Eric, right? And it was really very powerful for me to watch. When I was watching it, I was just like, quickening and just giving my hallelujahs, because there were so many points. But when I looked at Prince Eric, and when he finally was able to talk to Ariel, or when he was able to, find Ariel on the seashore after the shipwreck or whatever it was, Ariel had given away her voice to Ursula. And she was now talking to Prince Eric. Well, she wasn't talking. He was talking to her. He wasn't even able to truly recognize who she was, because the one thing that was the most important about her was given away, right? And so Ariel had her beauty. Ariel had her looks. She had her legs, right? And she was now in the line of vision and able to to actually talk to the man of her, or interact with the man of her dreams. But the one thing that would have sealed that love story, her voice, was no longer in her care. And and to me, that just says that, like, there's a lot of us that we take our voice, because we take our voice for granted, we diminish its value. And when we diminish our voice's value, we don't actually see that people actually are really impacted by our voices. They actually are really, and this kind of really blends with the first point. It's just like, there are people that are so impacted by what we do, what we say, and the message that we have. So like, even like, for the sake of the conversation, our voice and our singing is much deeper than just the musical sounds that we make, but the message that we share. And because we can take our message and our singing for granted, we can lose the ability to actually impact the people that want to hear from us the most, right? And and especially in the pop in music industry, where it's all about the five senses. It's like, sight and sound, and just like the experience, like being able to taste the artist's experience rather than just hear it. And because it's all about the right visuals, the right performance and choreography, and all of these different things, the essence of just a pure musical sound being impactful to somebody is becoming a concept that's becoming more and more lost. And so, just like Ariel, we can go to the glitz and the glamour. We can go to our Facebook profiles. Sorry, not really Facebook anymore, but our Instagram profiles, our TikTok profiles, and all of the the hype of just of being visually stimulated. And we use all of those things, not realizing that the people that we're most called to impact will be impacted through our song, and impacted through the proper stewarding of our voice. Now, we can't be impactful with our song if we're losing our voice every week, right? So that's why that's why I'm here to actually help you to start on the journey of stewarding your voice, and of taking care of your voice, and sharing your message sustainably, right? So that's another part of the conversation. But when it comes to actually just understanding the importance of our singing voice in and of itself, and the impact that it has, it far exceeds all of the the hair and the outward beauty, and all of those things can actually impact people. But there's people that are out there that are looking for your sound, and not just what you look like. And a lot of the time we can get caught up in just like the presentation of everything, and presenting the sound, is that we lose the sound altogether. And that's what Ariel did, and it was all because she was deceived by Ursula, right? So your voice is more important than you give it credit for. And the people that were called to impact, and in Ariel's instance, in Ariel's situation, it was Prince Eric that she was supposed to impact. Some people can just, you'll completely miss them because you're not wearing your message, and you're not wearing your song on your sleeve, right? And what do I mean by that, actually? What do I mean by you're not wearing your song on your sleeve? It's like, when it comes to, even if we're talking about performance, you're so busy creating the package for the music, that the music has no substance. Or that can be in terms of songwriting, in terms of the actual lyrics that you're delivering. But in terms of sound, like we can spend so much time presenting the package that the actual song and the actual sound that you're giving is subpar. Right? Like, a lot of people like because we have Melodyne and Autotune and all of these different tools, we spend so much time making the sound like this robotic package, that we don't actually spend time actually working on the voice that we're given. And so we work on music videos, we work on having great production and all these different things, but at the end of the day, and it's sadly the case in a lot of singers these days, they actually can't sing, right? And honestly, the level of impact that you can make when you sing your message well is worth the investment and of time, and it's worth the investment of money as well, right? So that's my second point. Third point. There are people who understand your voice's value more than you, and if you put yourself in their care, they will use you as much as you will let them, often in the form of a contract or agreement. And this is where we get to talk about Ursula stealing, not even stealing. This is the preachy part. Ursula didn't even steal Ariel's voice. Ariel willingly gave it away because she lost the value, or lost the understanding of the value of her voice. Her voice never lost value, but in her own perception, her voice didn't have any value, and therefore it was worthy of being given away to someone else who had a better use for it. And Ursula knew the power of the voice. She was watching Ariel's, little romantic situation with Prince Eric the whole time. She knew that Prince Eric was into Ariel's voice, right? But Ariel didn't. She was just like, I just want to be there, and I see this person. I just want to be into them, etc., so forth. And Ariel got so caught up in trying to impress that she was willing to give away the one thing that was actually of impact. But Ursula knew that Ariel's voice was the most important thing, and so she took Ariel's voice, right? And then she tries to become well, first of all, like thankfully Ariel was able to somehow start to impact Eric, but Ursula, with the one thing that was of most value, was able to slide in and interrupt Ariel's romance. Remember, Ursula becomes this whole brunette, shows up and to swipe away Prince Eric because she had Ariel's voice, right? That's crazy? Right? Like, and how does that apply to us? Right? If you look at it, all like, and I spoke about it, about the people that you give your voice away to, the music directors, the band directors, the record executives, the people that run the concerts, etc., so forth. These are all people that know the value of voices, and when they hear a voice that is impactful, they will take the voice and use it for whatever their purpose is. And the thing is, we do live in the age of the independent artists, where people are able to, take their own sound and market it to the world, etc., so forth. But these people got money, okay? And with the money and with the monetary power that they carry, they can give you a whole bunch of things. And we're talking about in the context of like maybe even a record deal. They're able to take your voice, use it for whatever purpose they want, and then give you a glamorous lifestyle, but the ownership of the thing that is most important belongs to them. But because they give you glitz and glamour and you don't understand the value of your voice, you give it away, right? And you just sign it away like Ariel did. Like that, I think of people like, for example, JoJo, who recently got her voice back, right? But on paper, JoJo, get out right now, JoJo, her, on paper, her voice did not even belong to her, right? And if you do your research, there are a few other artists that were in contracts like that. Even Aaliyah, right? Believe in an Aaliyah. Why do I keep doing this? Anyway, I'm swiping my finger upwards for those that are listening. But anyway, there was an Aaliyah album that even came out, and in fact, a lot of Aaliyah's music wasn't able to be released because of the contract that was signed under Blackground Records. Like JoJo had the same situation. Now, thankfully, she was able to find a breach in the contract, but that's the type of ownership that these people are having. And like thankfully, I don't think people they don't have those types of contracts anymore, but they also do. Like, it's like I would like to believe that those contracts don't exist anymore, but you still hear of, artists that can't release their songs and can't release their music because their label said so, right? And that type of ownership is not something that you deserve. Now, there are people that have great contracts where they understand their power and they were able to negotiate on that level. But there's so many people that are signing things that they don't understand, and a lot of you, because you don't have the validation that is on the inside that comes from you to actually say, my voice is worth something. Someone else, like their own little Ursula, can say, oh yeah, you're this and you're that, and you're like, oh my gosh, and you sign away your life to somebody else and give ownership to them without understanding the true value that you have, right? And these people are going to use your voice for their own purposes, take over the world if you're Ursula, right? And use your voice for their purposes. And your voice was given to you for a particular message, right? That you're supposed to say, that shouldn't be controlled by someone else, right? Anyway, yeah, that's my third point. Listen, The Little Mermaid is an entire preach. If you haven't watched The Little Mermaid in a little bit, go watch it. I rented it for like a month, so I think I'm gonna watch it again. But anyway, okay. Point number 4. And I think this is tied to point number 3. When we are convinced of our voice's insignificance, we will lose sight of the opportunities we have to be of service to others and make impact. Everyone forgets that at the beginning of the movie, Ariel was supposed to be singing in Sebastian's band. Now, Sebastian, of course, wanted to control Ariel a little bit, and her father wanted to control Ariel. So let's be honest about that. But Ariel was so busy lusting after another world that she failed to realize that her voice had impact where she was. Now, I don't think it's wrong to actually aspire to be, somewhere else, and want to dream and be somewhere else. And in fact, that's how we that's how we propel ourselves forward, by being pulled by the future. Gay Hendricks talked about that with the Big Leap. That's another story. But what am I saying? I'm saying that, like, it's safe to be pulled to be pulled somewhere. But if you fail to see the impact that your voice has where you are now, you're not going to see it when it's time to get over there. Like, think about it this way. Ariel did not see the impact of her voice in Sebastian's band. People loved Ariel's voice, and she has an amazing voice. She was able to bring impact, but because she didn't understand that, she was just like, letting these opportunities to serve with her voice, just go here, there, everywhere. So when it came time to actually be challenged in the value of her voice, Ariel was willing to just give it away, right? This is just, like, it's crazy, right? Like, a lot of us are just convinced of our voice's insignificance, and life circumstances, trauma, etc., so forth, like, they can have a way of giving us these inner facts, I'd like to call them, that say, for example, that our voice is never going to impact somebody, or we'll only be able to sing ever so high, or just a whole bunch of different pieces of foolishness that present themselves to convince us that our singing is of no value, when in reality there are specific people that are called to be impacted by our voice and by us showing up for our singing, right? Like, if we just showed up for before even aspiring to go somewhere else, why don't we just grow where we're planted? Like, but a lot of us are not even satisfied with where we are, right? Or satisfied with the opportunities that we have, and so we don't use the opportunities that we have. We just put it all into someday, and we want to be over there, and we don't want to be over here. If you're watching Mike Todd and Transformation Church right now, here is holy. Anyway, but point is, when we're convinced of our voice's insignificance, we'll lose sight of the opportunities that we have to be of service to others and serve with our voices, right? Before you get to 1 million, you have to be able to serve 100,000. Before the 100,000, it's the 1,000. Before the 1,000, it's the 100. Before this 100, it's the 1. It's the same thing with YouTube channels, etc., and so forth. People don't know how to actually stick with being impactful with the people that are around them, and allow God to bring expansion to the impact. Like, when you're dissatisfied and you live in the dissatisfaction of where you are, you're never going to be satisfied no matter where you go. Woo! That's a preach. Wait, let me see if I can say it a little bit quicker. When you're dissatisfied with where you are, and when you're constantly dissatisfied with where you are, you will never be satisfied with where you go. Why? Because you have never learned to be content and to I guess what's the word? Just leverage the relationships and the opportunities that you have to be of impact. And when you don't know how to do that where you are, you won't do that no matter where you go, right? Anyway, and my fifth and final point, like I'm just gonna leave that there. And yes, The Little Mermaid is entire preach, but yes, my fifth and last point: people are looking to be impacted by a meaningful voice and not glitz and glamour. Like going back to Prince Eric. Prince Eric, he thought that the girl was beautiful. He thought Ariel was beautiful. But at the end of the day, it was her voice that mattered. And I'm telling you, if you are an artist and you are trying to skip over the improvement of your voice because you're ignoring your vocal problems, then you're actually setting yourself up to be heavily disappointed when people experience you live. And if you're dissatisfied with where you are vocally in terms of, being able to sustainably use your voice because you're carrying your voice out of its boundaries, out of its territory, and you're consistently losing it. And so you but you just pretend as if nothing's ever happening, you're going to set up yourself to also be disappointed, right? This podcast is about the wake-up call. It's about understanding that we can't just continue our lives with mediocrity, or continue our singing lives and continue continue using our voices with a level of mediocrity. It's never going to get us anywhere, and it's not going to do what we need it to do. So I'm here as your residential vocal coach to help you to actually make the transition to being constrained in your singing to actually being free in your singing, to go from having no autonomy over your voice, but to being able to know what your voice is doing, its relationship with your body, and how you can actually correct your own problems. So what I want you to do is, if that sounds like where you're at, I want you to give me a call at reclaimyourvoice.ca/call. Book a call with me, and there we're going to be able to have a voice breakthrough call and really get to the bottom of what's not working in your singing journey right now, because we don't have time to just continue to leave improving your voice to later, because especially if you're listening this far in the podcast, it's your calling. This is your calling. This isn't just something that somebody just suggested that you maybe want to do. This is something that you're passionate about, right? And if this is hitting your heart, if it's striking your heart, don't hesitate. Book a call with me at reclaimyourvoice.ca/call, and let's have this conversation. I hope that you guys got something from my Little Mermaid rant. And I really hope that this is something that you'll be able to carry with you into your singing lives. But until next time, I want you to subscribe to this YouTube channel for the Reclaim Your Voice podcast. It's its own channel. It's got its own home on YouTube. So subscribe if you're watching this. And I also want you to follow this podcast on wherever you're listening to this podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you're listening to this. I want you to subscribe, give this thing 5 stars, and leave a review. Anyway, my name is O'Neal Gerald Donald, and I will see you all. I did it again. I actually genuinely do it when I do it, but I'm not going to see you, but you will hear me on the next Reclaim Your Voice podcast. We're going to get it one time. Anyway, I'll talk to you all later. Bye, everyone.